All right, and our first alert weather day continues as we now have a tornado warning. This is in effect for portions of Calhoun, Clarendon, Sumter counties until 5:15. The main concern of this storm is right over St. Matthews. You can actually see a hook-like feature looking at reflectivity, which is what we kind of use to view how hard it's raining outside. And you can see that hook-like feature right over St. Matthews. That is where we're seeing the strongest winds and the potential of where we've got rotation, where we have the potential of seeing maybe even a brief spin-up tornado. Looks like the main concern of it is on the eastern side of St. Matthews. So that's going to be Highway 6 and very close to Highway 601. This is where we have the potential of seeing a brief spin-up tornado. Again, a tornado warning includes portions of Calhoun, Clarendon, Sumter counties until 5:15. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over St. Matthews, and it's moving east around 45 miles an hour. So these storms are actually picking up in speed. That's why we're seeing an increasing wind threat. We've had multiple reports out towards Lexington, Aiken counties of down trees, power outages. That's been increasing over time, but every once in a while along these lines of thunderstorms you can get these brief spin-ups, you can get these kinks. So next in line is moving quickly away from St. Matthews. Lone Star, you're going to be next in line to see the potential of this tornado, and from there it quickly moves off to the east. Let's turn on the warnings. I know it's a little confusing looking at my radar, but we've got a lot going on. South of Columbia is where the main concern now is going to be of damaging winds. Orangeburg, get ready, the possibility of 70-mile-an-hour winds. And then where we have this red polygon out towards St. Matthews, this is where we have that tornado warning in effect for until 5:15 for these quick moving storms. We're going to put a storm tracker on it through the end of that warning polygon. Lone Star, 4:56 is when it will be in your area. From there, Belster Crossroads, 5:13, Somerton around 5:17 this evening. This is where we have the potential of seeing a brief spin-up tornado. Please get in the lowest level of your home or a sturdy structure. That includes the most interior room, lowest level. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, because again, we could have debris flying if there is a potential tornado. We don't have any indications right now that there is one on the ground. We're checking the National Weather Service chat, seeing if we're receiving any information from their ground truth. We're not seeing that quite yet, but just enough indications where we do have that rotation looking at velocity. Otherwise, the winds inside of the storm. It's moving away from St. Matthews. St. Matthews, even if you didn't have a tornado, you saw some high winds up to 60, 70 mile an hour. And it's moving into the Lone Star area. Highway 419, Highway 267, anywhere near Creston, Lone Star, even out ahead of that Pinewood. Please get in your tornado safe place. Again, lowest level of your home, sturdy structure. You do not want to be out on the roadways in this. I mean, even if we don't have damaging winds, a tornado, this is not the kind of weather you want to travel out and about with, right, Adam?
That's right, Peyton. As you can see, the really bright reds indicating some very fast-moving winds. There's several warnings out and about across the Midlands. The thatch, the areas of stripes, that's for a thunderstorm warning with winds around 70 miles per hour. This is your tornado warning right here. That's what Peyton's been talking about this entire time here. And just around St. Matthews, Lone Star, you're in the track of this, and also Somerton just outside of this. Ellery, the warning is just to your north. Pinewood, it's just down to your south. And but this whole area is going to see winds in upwards of around 70 miles per hour as it continues to the east at about 45 miles per hour. So what we'll do is put on a cone right here where the circulation is and drag it out all the way over to Somerton. And so Rimini around 501, Belzer Crossroads is around 509, Somerton around 512. So we've seen this rotation, very close rotation with the reds and the greens right next to each other. And as Peyton was mentioning, a little bit of a hook feature with this as well. And nonetheless, it's going to be some very strong winds. I mean, I want to go back to this. I mean, just look at this when it bows out a little bit like that. We usually are dealing with over 55-mile-an-hour winds, and it could be in upwards of around 70 miles per hour. So here's a wider look. We've got the warning in place. We'll put a query on that so you know exactly what's going on as far as the warning goes. Tornado warning until 5:15, so just under 30 minutes of a warning for this rotation that's moving to the east. We're going to zoom in to this rotation a little bit more. So Creston's here. Here's Lone Star. You're just on the outside. So if you are in Lone Star, I want you to go into your safe spot in your home. Lowest level of the house, away from the windows. Don't try to see this. It's going to be rain wrapped. You're not even going to see it. So the best thing for you to do in Lone Star is to get on that lowest level and make sure that you're seeking shelter as this rotation is headed to your direction here. So Sherlock Road, I wanted to zoom in. Weeks Landing Road, Lone Star Road. What we'll do is I'm going to kind of move it out just a little bit, zoom it in over this way and make sure you see exactly where it's headed. So here's Lone Star Road, Weeks Landing Road. Here's Lone Star, Low Falls Road. It's about to get closer to Ziegler Road. It's about to cross this area right here. So if there is a tornado, it's likely in this region right here, moving east at 45 miles per hour. So very fast moving system as it continues there to the east. So what we're going to do here is make sure we've got home, and it goes out a little bit. And so you can kind of see there's that rotation here, and I'll zoom it right back in. So we're going to zoom in to this specific area as this storm comes in. So here we go. So there's Lake Marion. Lone Star's right here. We'll zoom in a little bit farther. Get those street names on. So we've got an update. It's really knocking on the door of Lone Star. So if you're in Lone Star, you're in your safe spot. Turn up your television really loud so you can still hear my voice, and make sure, hopefully you still have power. But best thing to do is get away from the windows, lowest level of the home. And if you know somebody that lives in Lone Star that might not be paying attention to the weather, give them a call. Give them a call. Make sure that they know that there's possibly a tornado on the ground, and we're watching it moving east at 45 miles per hour. There's a tornado warning until 5:15. So this storm means business. And what we'll do is zoom out a little bit, and I like to use this debris tracker. The radar has a feature where you can actually see if there's actually a debris ball, and I'm not seeing anything like that. What it's looking for is like things in the atmosphere that aren't raindrops or hailstones. And if we're not seeing a different color right there, that means we're not seeing that being kicked up. That's good news. So here's that line kind of barreling to the east at 45 miles per hour. Again, the whole area around Sumter County, also all the way towards Manning, you've got a warning with winds around 70 miles per hour. It includes Orangeburg. So Orangeburg, you're about to see this line move through. You're not under a tornado warning, but a thunderstorm warning. And it stretches all the way down to the south and to the west. Here in Columbia, we've had our rain showers move through. We're pretty much out of it. Now, we're really concerned for Orangeburg right now, and St. Matthews has just gotten hit, and we're looking at Lone Star currently with this particular warning right here. I'm going to zoom in once more to this area. And Peyton, is there any new information from the National Weather Service? Okay.
Of course, that area of rotation now moved out of St. Matthews. It's right over Lone Star. As these storms have quickly sped up in speed, We're moving around 25 miles an hour when warnings started getting issued earlier today, but now this one's out for 45 miles per hour. So we need to take this seriously. Again, if you're out towards the Lone Star area, anywhere in this portion of Clarendon, Calhoun, or Sumter counties, we've got the potential of seeing a tornado right now, although we have not had any ground truth. But as Adam's been saying, you're not going to be able to see the tornado in this area if we have one on the ground. It's likely going to be wrapped in rain. A lot of these storms are producing just torrential downpours out there. And even if we don't have a tornado, we're looking at a very good likelihood of considerable wind damage, up to 70 miles an hour. And sometimes that can cause tornado-like damage. Where we have the really bright green, or reds, I should say, right over Lone Star, we're going to measure some of those winds right now. These are measured above the surface, but they have the potential of being transferred down to the ground. Easily could see 50, 60, again, 70 mile an hour wind gusts with this part of the storm. But where we do have that almost hook-like rotation, almost kind of looks like an S right around Lone Star, this is where we have the possibility of seeing a quick spin-up tornado right over Highway 267 near Lone Star. So if this sounds familiar to you, if you know anyone out in this vicinity, give them a call. Hopefully they're watching and staying weather aware. As we've been saying, there is a possibility of seeing strong storms, and this warning goes until 5:15. So for about another 20 minutes or so as it gets closer to I-95. Somerton, you're not included in this warning, but if it does hold, you would be potentially next in line to see the threat of a tornadic storm nonetheless. Adam, do you have any additional information or anything you're seeing?
Well, we'll take a look again at all the warnings. We'll take a look again at all the warnings across the area, watches and warnings. As you can see, we've got the one tornado warning in red just north of Orangeburg, west of Manning. And as you can see, it includes Lone Star. Lone Star is where we're seeing the highest winds currently. And it's going to move over to the east, over the lake. And if you live on the eastern shores of Lake Marion, know that this wind can be amplified just a bit because there's no friction over that, no trees, no buildings slowing the wind. So please seek shelter now. Hopefully nobody's out and about on the lake. And as you can see, this line right here, it's kind of bowed out a little bit, indicating some very strong winds. And that's why you're seeing this warning with the lines like that, because it means that winds could be over 70 miles per hour. So some frequent lightning, very strong winds moving through Orangeburg County, Calhoun County, and also into Sumter County as well. So Lone Star, you're in the thick of it now. Ellery, you're about to see it, so go ahead and seek shelter now. Be on the lowest level of your home, away from the windows. Mobile homes aren't advisable. The air just gets trapped under it and it causes lift, and that's why we say that. Pinewood, Lone Star, Cameron, also seeing that heavier downpour. Here's a wider look. Looks like they shaved a little bit off of the warning here because this is where the rotation is, and we'll zoom in to where that rotation is. Looks like it's right on Lake Marion here. So here's Lone Star. The rotation, my goodness, that's something else. Let's see if I can get a query on that to see how fast that wind is moving. Well, it's the tornado warning is what it's going to show. 5:15, but some very strong winds right here. I mean, when you're starting to see the purples, that usually indicates in upwards of 55 plus. We're talking about 55 to even 65. And the possibility with this from the National Weather Service is up to 70 mile per hour winds. That could knock down trees. That can cause enough damage even if there's not a tornado. So there doesn't have to be a tornado for there to be all sorts of awful damage. So Lone Star, you're pretty much on the back end of it, still storming right now, but the worst of it is just now around Lake Marion and continuing over to right now, seeing some of that heavier wind and around Lone Star, Hawksill Lane. What we'll do is kind of zoom it out this way. We'll zoom it over here so you can see it a little bit better. Old River Road, you're not seeing as much activity, but all of this is kind of move across the lake. So if you live on this side of the lake, I'm worried about some very strong winds on this side of the lake because of the lack of friction, and it just gets a little bit amplified as it heads over the lake. We worry about that on Lake Murray all the time. Here it is happening on Lake Marion, and we'll continue to the east there. So we're looking also at the debris tracker. I'm still not seeing a signature that shows that it's kicking up like objects, so that's really good news. And we'll kind of take a wider look at everything, because I don't want to forget that, hey, Orangeburg, you're under this as well. Not a tornado warning, but a very strong thunderstorm warning that has winds in upwards of 70 miles per hour. Most of the heaviest rain has pushed through, and right now we're getting that heavy rain, but the initial line of wind has pushed over to the east, and you're likely seeing some very strong winds also in and around Sumter as well, just around Sumter and points southward on this warning too. So again, here's our first alert radar. We've got a tornado warning until 5:15, so that's until 5:15. And here in Columbia, things have dried up, but your tornado safe space is, of course, the basement or storm shelter. Now, if you don't have a basement, the next best thing is an interior room or hallway away from the windows. So notice that we're circling right here. If you have a closet, I know my house, I just have this nice little closet in the middle of the house there. There's no windows at all around it, but you're trying to stay away from the broken glass, and you're using the house to protect you. Right, you're using it as protection, and if you're in the middle of it, that's where we see the best structure. So we're looking at these storms continuing down and out of here really by around 7 o'clock. So Peyton, what have you got on velocity? How fast are those winds moving?
Well, the storm itself is still moving around 45 miles an hour, but the wind inside the actual storm, I'm noticing they are slightly upticking. You know, we may not have a tornado. We have not gotten any confirmation of a tornado. But we could see tornado-like damage to an extent. Sometimes when we have the potential of seeing up to 70-mile-an-hour winds, that can cause low-end tornado-like damage. So although we have, again, not had any confirmation yet of a possible tornado on the ground, I do want you to treat this as if there is one on the ground. Somerton, you're technically not included under this warning. The western side of town is, as the storm is now starting to exit off of Lake Marion, but I do want you to be in your tornado safe place. And Manning, I also want to give you the first alert, an early heads up on if this storm holds together. You know, you could be looking at the possibility of, you know, maybe a tornadic storm heading your way. Manning, you're under that severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-an-hour winds. But where we have this red polygon, I will take the radar off the screen, so it's kind of easier to see. Lone Star, you're no longer looking at a tornadic threat as the rotation itself has moved away from your area. But it's now moved on the northern side of Lake Marion, about to exit off of the lake itself. St. Paul, Somerton, Paxville, you would be next in line to possibly see this area of rotation that we've been tracking within this tornado polygon. The warning itself goes until 5:15, so for not much longer. Have not seen any discussion in the National Weather Service chat about issuing an additional warning downstream, so it's something I think we're going to have to play by ear as it gets closer to the end of the polygon, very close to Somerton. If we would see an additional warning downstream. So that's why we want to give everyone, again, the first alert. Again, this is where we have the rotation and a possible tornado. But even if you're out towards I-95 and the rest of Clarendon County, you need to be on alert with this storm and just the storms altogether, because they are very intense, where we do have the potential of seeing 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Orangeburg, we haven't talked about you much in terms of this tornadic threat. That's because this storm itself is farther north, but you're seeing torrential rainfall. You have the possibility of also seeing 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We've seen power outages increase over the state from these storms. I'm checking power outages right now. They're a little over 7,000, which actually has come down a little bit, but we could see additional power outages as these storms race to the south and east. We could see additional trees down. So I would hold off traveling on the roadways if you are on I-95 because these storms are getting very close to moving in that area. Adam, do you have any additional details? Are you seeing anything different from what I'm seeing?
The only thing that I have seen is that the National Weather Service has canceled the watch for Newberry and Saluda County, also Fairfield County. So you can see the watch is gone for you guys, but still in effect here around Columbia until 8 o'clock. So this warning right here, this thunderstorm warning, that lasts until 5:15. This one until 5:30, and the tornado warning until 5:15. So just the timing of it, just wanted to make sure. So Lone Star still on the tornado warning. Somerton, as Peyton was just mentioning, is just outside, but this rotation is headed that way at around 45 miles per hour. And we'll kind of put that on the map here. And what I'll do is put a cone on. It's been a minute since we put a cone on it. Actually, I want to do a whole squall. We'll do a whole squall, and we'll do this entire line right here. They're going to issue a downstream warning. Okay, so that'll pop up here shortly. But Santee 509, 514 in Vance, 521 Lake Marion, and Greeleyville at 527. So there's the brand new warning right here, and we'll put some information on it. I'll get the information up for you so you can see exactly what's going on with this new warning. This one lasts until 5:30 now. So Clarendon, tornado warning until 5:30. So we've got the rotation. So here's our initial warning right here. You can see that. Here's the rotation that's just now east of Lake Marion. And it's going to continue to the east at 45 miles per hour. We'll do another cone. Let's do a cone. And I can pinpoint exactly where the rotation is and draw it out throughout this warned area. So around Somerton at 5:11. So in just a couple of minutes, we're going to have this right on top of you. So if you live in Somerton, please take shelter now. I just showed you a graphic earlier showing the interior portion of the home, away from the windows. Stay safe. If you know somebody that lives in Somerton that might not be watching the news or they don't have the First Alert weather app, make sure that they know. Give them a call and say, hey, there's a rotation, a very strong storm moving in. We can't tell you if there's a tornado on the ground, but we can tell you that there's some very strong winds associated with it, and there is enough rotation for the National Weather Service to put up a tornado warning. So here's the close-up version of that. And as Peyton was mentioning, we've got some very fast winds here. So here's Somerton. It's knocking on your doorstep here. We'll zoom in a little bit more. So Old River Road is where we've got the strongest winds right now. Clifton Road, St. Paul, around Liberty Hill Road, you're next. The Belzer Crossroads, Mathis Roads, if any of these are ringing a bell, you need to be in your safe spot in your home. You need to make sure that you're away from the windows on the lowest level, because there's, needless to say, very strong winds associated with this. We don't have to have a tornado to get damage. It can blow out your windows. You don't want to be in and around. We got just a new update here from the radar around St. Paul there. We're looking for some debris. I'm not seeing anything there on the debris tracker, so that's good. And then this line, we put it into motion, going 45 miles per hour, still a warning till 5:30. So this brand new warning is until 5:30. So we've got a few more minutes left on the old tornado warning, but it'll be passing into the new warned area here shortly. Orangeburg, still seeing some torrential rain and gusty winds. We haven't had any reports yet, so if you are a certified storm spotter, call those in to here at the station or the National Weather Service and let us know. It helps everybody out knowing exactly what's going on out and about. Now, here's another view of that First Alert radar. You can see a little bit of a hook right here within this storm. We'll zoom in a little bit farther. And here's I-95, so it's really getting close to I-95. And as you head into the afternoon hours, it's drive time, Manning, you're getting in on some very heavy rain and gusty winds currently. And you're outside of the warned area. You're in a thunderstorm warning until 5:15. But the tornado warning is just down to our south, because this rotation right here is pushing eastward at around 45 miles per hour. So again, the safe spot to be, basement if you've got one, or storm shelter. That's number one. But if you don't, and a lot of folks don't, including myself, you've got an interior room in your home away from the windows. That's the next best thing for you to do and where you need to be. But we've got a thunderstorm watch, thunderstorm warning until 5:30. 5:15, tornado warning now until 5:30 for areas around Clarendon County and in this region right here. So we'll zoom in again. Lone Star just had some really strong winds. Somerton, we've got that storm moving through just north of Lake Marion, pushing to the east at 45 miles per hour. So what does it look like on velocity there, Peyton?
Some really strong winds right around the Somerton area. So if you're in Somerton, you need to be in your tornado safe place right now, where we could have that possible tornado. It's crossing right over I-95 as we speak. I'm looking off to the side on another computer, kind of looking at some of the traffic cameras in this area. I'm seeing some heavy rain. I'm not seeing anything other than that right now on parts of I-95. Definitely going to keep a close eye out on some of these traffic cameras, and also the weather chat to see if we get any additional maybe reports of storm damage. But Somerton, right over your area is where we have the rotation itself. It's over I-95. The storm has actually sped up in speed. It's now moving at around 65 miles an hour. When we first started seeing the severe thunderstorm warnings issued, they were moving around 25 miles an hour. So they are quickly racing off to the south and east. And we're not going to be dealing with the risk of severe weather for much longer. I know we still have, a couple of counties still included under these severe thunderstorm warnings, Clarendon County under the tornado warning. But I would say in the next hour or so, I think the risk of severe weather here locally will have diminished, and it's going to be moving off to our south and east, closer to the Gulf Coast. But we are not, or the East Coast, I should say. We're not there quite yet. Somerton, that's where we have that hook-like feature. Tornado warning continues until 5:30, so not for much longer as these storms quickly race off to the east. Lake Marion, you're still included under this warning. And then from there, it's going to be moving out of our area technically. Manning, you're not included under this tornado warning. It's likely going to stay to the south of you, but you have very heavy rainfall right over your area. We're going to turn on the lightning tracker and detecting a decent amount of lightning with this storm as well. And typically when we see a lot of lightning, it just is a good indicator that it is an intense storm. When we see the lightning tracker go down in intensity, we start to notice that the storm itself is losing intensity as well. But still detecting a good amount of lightning, so that could still mean that, this still is a very powerful storm. Even if we're not seeing a tornado on the ground right near I-95, I would expect, since typically radar data is a couple of minutes delayed, likely is exited I-95, might be closer to Lake Marion itself. We could still see very strong winds, 60, 70 miles an hour. That has pretty much verified in other locations. I'm looking at the National Weather Service chat. I'm seeing that we do have a report of a downed tree in the St. Matthews area. That's where we first got this warning in effect, where we started to note this rotation, and it's held itself together pretty well now in Clarendon County. And before we know it, probably in 15 minutes or so, it's going to be exited out of the county itself, Adam.
As you see in Somerton, that's where we've got the warned area. Here around our region, we've got this warning here till 5:15, this one until 5:15, this one till 5:30. This is the tornado warning in the red box here. The thatched area, that's just a very strong thunderstorm warning with 70-mile-per-hour winds. Now there is a thunderstorm warning south of Orangeburg until 5:30, and that one is for winds of above 55 miles per hour. But as Peyton was mentioning, it's now sped up. So we've got it moving at 65 miles per hour now in this region. So we'll put up on the radar, and you can kind of see a little turn right here, this little hook right here. That's what we're watching, where the rotation will likely be, and pushing to the east, just north of Lake Marion, just on the northern shores of Lake Marion, and continuing east at around 65 miles per hour. So we'll put it on the velocity, and I'll actually get a cone on here. I've changed the computer to from 45 miles per hour until well, we'll see what that one is right there, but Rogers around 5:16. So that's the next town that'll be impacted by this warning here. So there's I-95. It's just south of I-95, Rogers. You're next. If you know somebody that lives in the Rogers area, just tell them, hey, there's some very strong winds moving in. There's a tornado warning for this region until 5:30. So we have another 15 minutes left on this warned area. So the strongest winds right here at Wash Davis Road, William Brunson Road, Stonecrop Road, Stedman Road. We've got a new thunderstorm warning for Orangeburg County and Calhoun County as well until 6 o'clock. So we'll show you that in just a bit, but we'll turn on the debris tracker. Not really seeing anything there. I'm looking for things that are getting kicked up in the atmosphere. But here's the brand new warning. It looks like just downstream here and just down to the south of Orangeburg. So this line moving at 65 miles per hour. We've got a tornado warning in effect for this region here around Somerton and getting closer to Kingstree and just north of Lake Marion. So this is a tornado warning, and it's moving east at 65 miles per hour. We're likely looking right here in this region right here, and what we'll do is zoom in on that region here. So we'll click that and then zoom in so you can see a little bit better around Rogers and get a little bit closer there. And White Oak Road, Sam Nexon Road, North Rickenbacker Road, Lost Brook Road, Ward Road, Rogers Road, around Rogers there. So this is the region that we're most concerned about. So if you're in Rogers, you're on the basement or a storm shelter, away from the windows in the center portion of your home, the interior room or hallway, away from those windows. So we want you to be safe just in case. If you know somebody that lives there that might not be watching the news, give them a call. We always say that because, you know, they might not have the First Alert weather app or be watching the news right now. So it's always important to make sure everybody's safe and they know what's going on. So what is going on is the winds will be really strong in the southern portions of Orangeburg County here as this line makes its way in upwards of 55 miles per hour. We're still talking about 70 miles per hour for this warning right here. I want to make sure I get the information right with that new warning there, so we'll put a query on it for this one, and that one's until 6 o'clock. So it's a considerable, so that means it's around 70 miles per hour for this warning. So that's what we heard the alarm for that particular warning. So it's this one right here has been upgraded until 6 o'clock, and this tornado warning until 5:30. So that's our tornado warning, including Rogers is in on this, just north of Lake Marion, south of Manning and Clarendon County is what we're looking at. In Columbia, we're in the clear now. We're looking pretty good for the rest of the weekend, actually. Springfield to Orangeburg, we still have heavier downpours and rain, and all that is moving down to the south towards St. George there in southern Orangeburg County. Sumter, you've just got some showers, a little bit of lightning. The heaviest of it has pushed over to the east. No warning for you any longer, and still a tornado warning in this region right here, just north of Lake Marion, just south of Manning. Here's I-95 moving east at around 65 miles per hour. So again, we'll turn on the velocity, and it doesn't look quite as impressive. So that's the good news. We're not seeing a big, robust turning of the winds. The greens and the reds mixing in together. So that's actually really good right there. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. What do you see there, Peyton? Are you seeing anything from the National Weather Service?
I'm not seeing any additional reports on this specific storm. I'm kind of agreeing with you that this is not seeing as impressive a rotation anymore. It looks like this is going to be mostly a damaging wind threat, straight line wind threat, rather than a tornadic threat. I would still take this seriously as if, you know, we potentially had confirmation, because if there even was a tornado on the ground, we probably wouldn't get notified until afterwards, since it likely is rain wrapped. I was actually just looking back on some of the traffic cameras on I-95 out towards the Somerton area, and there actually is no connection to them anymore. So there's a good chance, you know, power is out in this area. And if you have any reports, storm reports that you can safely take pictures or videos of, maybe in your neighborhood, outside of your house, please send them in through the free First Alert weather app. We would love to see them, show them on air. We would also love to relay them to the National Weather Service to get those storm reports in, whether it is just maybe hail, although we haven't seen much hail with these storms, but definitely any wind damage that you have nearby. We would love to see them again through our free first alert weather app. But based on this tornadic rotation, not seeing much of it, it's probably going to be out of the warning polygon here soon. We have it in place until 5:30, the actual area of rotation where we still have that little node. Looking at the reflectivity is now moved out of the Somerton area, very close to Lake Marion, and it's going to continue to race off to the south and east. And before we know it, all these storms together will have moved out of our area.
Yes, we've got several warnings out there. The thatched right here, meaning winds of around 70 miles per hour. This lasts until 6 o'clock. The tornado warning is up until 5:30, so we have another about 9 minutes left on this. But as we were just showing you, the rotation does not look to be quite as strong out there. So we're looking at things dying down just a little bit with the rotation, but we still have intense rain and thunder around Manning and wind around Ellery, Vance, and Lone Star with this band right here as it has passed just to the south of Orangeburg. So if you're in southern Orangeburg County, around 55 mile per hour winds here, 55 to 65, and upwards of 70 mile per hour winds within this storm right here from Vance up I-95 over towards Manning in that region there. So there's Lake Marion, there's Manning, and also Vance. So we'll turn on that rotation, and you can still see, there it is. It's still trying to turn right there with a bit of green now popping up within. So I'm going to see if I can zoom in right here, and I might have to, yeah, definitely see some green and red right there. And what I'll do is zoom in on that little region here and show you some roads where we've got that rotation. It's a pretty broad rotation, but nonetheless, it doesn't take much to get a tornado to pop up. And we'll go in even closer. Let me try again. Here we go. That should pop up some stuff. There's Durant Road, Shaw Road, Stillwater Drive, Early Bird Road, Forest Lake Drive, and Clearwater Drive, all in on this. Raccoon Road is all in on this too. So if this is familiar to you, know that there's some rotation in your neck of the woods, and that could be a problematic. We could see the debris tracker showing nothing really kicking things into the atmosphere, so that's the good news there. But you could just see, as I put this on a loop, this is just the last about an hour and or 2 hours, and it's just gotten a bit quicker. It's moving at 65 miles per hour and is continuing to the east at 65 miles per hour. And we've got new warnings now around Williamsburg County down towards Moncks Corner as well. Kingstree is now with a thunderstorm warning. And looks like the Charleston office will be starting to pick up on this from the National Weather Service there in Charleston. But Somerton, you've got the heavier rain mainly has pressed east of your region. And just up to the north, we've got the heavier downpours. And it looks like the rotation just now moving over to the east of Somerton. And just south of Manning, you've got heavy rain in Manning, some frequent lightning there, but it's almost out of the county here, almost out of the warned area. So if you're in that warning area, make sure you're in the safe spot, basement or storm shelter, away from windows, and in the interior location of your home there. So we still have a watch in effect that's in the purple until 8 o'clock. But most of Columbia, we're all in the clear here in Columbia. Also Camden, I'm gonna say it's clear for you guys for the rest of the evening as well. This is our band that we've been talking about for the past couple of days as it has moved through our region. This is why we first alerted because we were expecting this really strong band to push in. Now we're likely going to have some damage reports within this band right here and our warned area just down to the south and east, just south of Manning right here. So here's I-95 north of Lake Marion, this region until 5:30. So we've got another 6 minutes left on it as this line makes its way through. Again, we could have winds of upwards of 70 miles per hour within this storm, so it doesn't have to have a tornado. We could just have the regular winds cause all that damage. So here's that velocity once again. You can see just east of Rogers now. pushing out to the east. Luckily, there's no real cities around this area or towns near that region. And Peyton, what do you have on your map? What are you seeing over there? I'm going to reset my maps.
Yeah, so we are still watching these storms that are about to actually exit our viewing area, and then they'll be moving into the market of Charleston and even Myrtle Beach as well. But right now we have the most intense weather right along I-95. We still have that tornado warning in effect for a portion of Clarendon County. South of Manning is where we have that tornado warning in effect. I'll turn the watch and warning polygons off so you're able to see just the storm. We've got intense heavy rainfall, even some lightning. Let's head over to the winds to see if there is any rotation still in this. There might be some very close to Lake Marion. There's not a lot of it's kind of a rural area of Clarendon County, but if we were to have the possibility of a tornado on the ground, it would be in the southern section of Clarendon County. It's already moved away from I-95. It'd actually be very close to Highway 260 south and southeast of Manning. But I think this is more of a straight line wind threat. A lot of the reports we've seen so far today come in from the National Weather Service, whether it's out in Lexington, Orangeburg, Aiken counties. It's been the damaging wind aspect. But I still want you to treat this tornado warning very carefully. And even if you're just in a severe thunderstorm warning, I would treat that, just about as equal as a tornado warning itself, because 70-mile-an-hour winds can cause damage. And, we've seen that yesterday, we've seen it today. So especially where we have this hatched polygon for really the entire I-95 corridor from Orangeburg County back into, Clarendon counties as well. This is where we have the possibility of seeing 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Power outages, again, have continued to go up over the course of the evening. They're around 80,000 right now across the state, Adam.
So we still have this warning up for another 3 minutes, and so we'll stay on just in case. We've got it just south of Manning, and most of Clarendon County is under some sort of thunderstorm warning until 6 o'clock. So that's for winds around 70 miles per hour, as Peyton was mentioning, the straight line wind aspect with this band as it pushes through. But there's also the churning of the winds that we were just showing you as the rotation looks like it's starting to move out of the warned area. So this is what we're talking about right here, a little bit of rotation just south and east of Manning. Zooming in a little bit more, you can see just south and west of Greeleyville, and we're going to zoom in just once more, so just in case somebody lives in this region right here, you can get some streets placed on there so you know exactly where it is. Kenwood Road here. So and if you're living anywhere near around Kenwood Road, this is about to be moving out of your area, but you're under the gun currently. The air is turning aloft, and we're turning on the debris tracker. We're not seeing anything being kicked up, at least not yet. But here's a wider view of this line pushing down to the south and east. Just south of Orangeburg, we've got this warning until about 6 o'clock or 5:30, I believe, and also this warning until 6 o'clock, the one that's thatched, that lasts till 6 this evening as this band continues to the east. A lot of lightning. It really has sped up, moving at 65 miles per hour, and it looks like the rotation is now moving out of our viewing area. But if you're in a tornado warning, the safest place to be, again, is the center portion of your home. So a hallway, a bathroom, that's the best spot to be in. Avoid windows, doors, and outside walls. Cover yourself with blankets or pillows for protection. I often say helmets are a good idea. If you have a baseball helmet, football helmet of some sort, or a hard hat, it's a good thing to have whenever you're in the hall or the closet, bathroom. This is how my house looks like. I have a little closet right there, so I'm with you. No basement, but the basement is the best place to be if you have one. So the safest place is always to be underground. But again, we've got a tornado warning for another 15 seconds or so in southern Clarendon County, in areas right around just south of Manning, just east of Greeleyville or west of Greeleyville. And